In this video, I want to talk about how certain fungi can live in symbiotic relationships with other organisms. A symbiotic relationship occurs when one organism has a close relationship with an organism of a different species. There are several different ways this relationship can work out. It can be one that has mutualism, that is, both organisms are receiving benefits from the relationship. Or the symbiotic relationship can be one of commensalism, where one organism benefits and the other organism is not affected. Or finally, it can be parasitism, where one organism benefits and the other one is harmed. Fungi are found in several important symbiotic relationships that I want to talk about in this video. First, let's talk about the relationship with fungi and plants. Fungi live in a mutually beneficial relationship with many species of plants. These fungi have a particular name. They're called mycorrhizae, and there are many species of fungi that serve as mycorrhizae with plants. The fungus provides the nutrients because remember, fungi do external digestion, so they help break down nutrients that the plants can then absorb. The fungi help the plant absorb water and actually increase the root surface because basically the mycelium of the fungus becomes sort of an extension of the roots. You can see in this illustration over here that you have a plant that doesn't have the fungi associated with it and another one that does, and how much more root surface there is when you add in the mycelium. What the plant provides for the fungi are the carbohydrates, the glucose that's being made for photosynthesis, that is there as food both for the plant and for the fungus. Here are some other pictures of a mycorrhizae fungus relationship here between a western hemlock tree. And this is a cross-section of the root, and you can see that we have the fungus that is kind of all the way around the root. In fact, the hyphae are working their way in between the cells and really having a lot of contact so that any food that's produced by the plant can then easily make its way into the fungus, and the fungus hyphae can help transfer nutrients and water to the plant. So fungi and plants have a mutually benefit or a mutualism relationship. Another symbiotic relationship that is mutualism is that of lichens. Lichens look like flat, colored plates or leaves on an undisturbed surface. They can be found on bark or on stones or on painted surfaces or on cloth. And they're actually a combination of 2 or 3 species living in a mutualistic relationship. The fungi is always one of the species, and the fungi live in relationship either with an algae, which is a protist, or with a photosynthetic bacteria. The algae, in this case, would be also photosynthetic, of course, because algae are plant-like protists. So the two come together to form this new thing that we call a lichen. The fungus actually provides the structure for the lichen, so the final product doesn't quite look like a fungus and it doesn't look like the algae. It's kind of a combination of two. And the photosynthetic organism then, of course, does photosynthesis and provides the food or carbohydrates for both that own organism and the fungus. So when you see lichen in the forest, in the trees, or maybe on a rock, a piece of granite, realize that you're looking at a combination of 2 or possibly 3 species, one of which at least is fungi, that are helping out each other to live a successful life on that whatever they're growing on. Fungi also can be parasites. In this case, the fungi are getting the benefit, and whatever organism is hosting the fungi is experiencing some amount of harm. May not be pathogenic to the point of death, but certainly the second organism is being harmed in some way. So fungi can live on the dead cells on the surface of animals, which causes a mild irritation. If you've ever had athlete's foot, you know it can be quite itchy. That is a fungus infection on the dead cells of the surface of your skin. Ringworm is another type of fungi acting as a parasite living on your skin. And even some types of dandruff are caused by fungi. Fungi can go more than just living on dead cells on the surface of creatures. It can actually invade living cells and then destroy part of the organism. So many plant diseases that are known as rust diseases are actually caused by a fungus. And we have an illustration over here. You can see part of this plant has suffered death because of this fungus invading those living cells. And fungi can also invade living cells and take over an organism to reproduce itself. You might have heard of the cordyceps fungi, and it creates zombie ants. I lost an E here in my typing. But in this case, the fungus basically forces the ant, takes over the ant's brain, makes it go to a place that an ant normally would not go, and then the ant will die in that position and allow the fungus to spread its spores over a greater area. As humans, we have several both positive and negative relationships with the fungi. We use fungi to produce drugs, such certain antibiotics, alcoholic beverages, and foods such as cheese or mushrooms or kombucha. We also, as I've already mentioned, depend on this relationship between fungi and plants to increase the production of certain vegetables. So it's a very important, fungi are a very important part of agriculture, and you can actually, inoculate or add the mycorrhizae fungi to your crops if you are a crop grower. But then we also have to fight against fungi that are present in the environment that add to the destruction of food, spoilage of food by mold growth, spoilage of lumber, paper, and cloth. We have the various diseases that I've mentioned that might affect plants or animals or humans. We've talked a little bit about how mold allergies are your body reacting to mold spores. And of course, certain fungi produce toxins, the poisonous mushrooms that can kill you when you choose a mushroom that's not a safe one, or even foods that become moldy. There's a particular toxin produced in grain that sometimes can cause harm, known as aflatoxin. So fungi can be both beneficial and harmful to us as people, as humans. So just to summarize, fungi have various biological relationships with other species. Some of these relationships are mutually beneficial. Both the fungi and the other species benefit, such as we have between fungi and plants, and also this relationship between algae and other bacteria to form something that we call lichen. But fungi also have parasitic relationships with plants and animals where the fungi benefits and the other species is harmed. And in some cases, the fungus can even go so far to become a pathogen and actually kill the other organism. As humans, we both depend on fungi and fight against fungi in our daily lives. So that gives you a quick overview how fungi can have relationships with other organisms in our environment, having both positive and negative effects.